Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Wraeclastonomics. It is September the 10th as of this recording. I plan on putting this video out, I think, a little bit later today. Keeping with the trend of once a week, kind of giving you guys some things that I've noticed in trading and with the economy and path of exile. So first things first, let's talk about news before we get into anything else, or things that I feel like are news. Number one, and probably the biggest thing that's went on this week that you probably have noticed if you've been in trade chat is the exalt bubble has popped. Pop! A lot of us had wondered how far up could they push. We saw them at the start of the league sitting around 40, and they quickly ascended up to what seemed to be unsustainable levels. But, then they just stayed there. We saw Exalt trading in the mid-70s, even at 80 for a week or two, even 3 weeks. And then, now apparently the bubble has popped. And that kind of makes sense because we are closing in on the end of the league. GGG has stated basically that they're going to be, they put out a little blurb, I think last week, wanting people to vote or talk about what they wanted for the 1 month challenge league. And as you guys know, the 1 month challenge league doesn't start until after the two temporary leagues are done. And they said that they anticipated it starting in the first week of October. Well, if you go by that timeline, then bada bing, bada boom, these leagues are going to be ending somewhere in the neighborhood of about 3 weeks. And over the weekend, basically just all of a sudden, it was like a switch flipped. And I noticed, actually it was after the weekend, it was on Monday, and there were like no flippers in trade chat. It was eerie. Monday night trade chat was, the trade chat one was the slowest I've ever seen a trade chat be. And it was because there simply were no flippers, no market makers, as I call them sometimes, selling or buying Exalt. Nobody. So what we've seen is basically I've sat in trade chat for a good portion of time over the past, 3 or 4 days, because I've been chasing after some divination cards for challenges and flipping some currency and such. And over the course of those past 3 or 4 days, I've witnessed Exalt basically plummet from 75 to 80 chaos per down to about 60 per. Now, when they started to plummet, I had about, I want to say 10x sitting in my stash. I immediately took action. And you see, there's a guy right there, 59C, wanting to sell X for 59C. I anticipate the prices are still going to keep coming down. It's because the league is about to end. And what that means is that all of this currency is going to roll into standard. And if you're familiar with the standard rates of currency, Exalt to Chaos is pretty stable, I believe. Now, I'm not 100% familiar with the standard rates currency. I confess I didn't do a lot of research before. I probably should have. I should have, just jumped onto standard and looked around a little bit and seen what things were going for. But as far as I know, it's pretty stable around 40 to 45C. So that's something I think I've mentioned before in regard to like GCP. I've always been talking about how I think GCP is going to go up towards the end of the league, and it has. GCP has went up from basically it was selling at about 2 to 1, and I am now seeing GCP sometimes, not all the time, going for about 2.5, or getting about 2.5C for one. So, and that's because GCP trades a little bit stronger on standard than it has been on the challenge leagues. So Exalt bubble is bursting. I anticipate over the course of the next few weeks, we're probably going to continue to see it dwindling down to about standard levels. So if you have Exalt, I would move it. And where would I put my Exalt? Well, if you're wanting your Exalt to hold some value, your options are basically to shuttle it into, what I would do is I would probably try to get it in Fuse. And the reason for that is basically I wouldn't do it in Chaos just because Fuse to Chaos 2 to 1 is really hard to get. Typically, you have to offer closer to like 1.5 1.5 fuse for 1 chaos instead of getting 2 for 1. So it's probably a little bit more equitable to try to sell your X for fuse, or to try to go with some kind of a fuse derivative such as jewelers or alterations. Or you could also flip your X into items that you think are going to hold some value. You could put it into divination cards, high-end divination cards. But the thing about that is really, since the league is kind of coming to a close, everything's going to kind of be dwindling a little bit. What you could do is you could look on Standard League and see if there are any uniques that are going to be trading up in League. Something you could also invest in is you could invest in League-specific uniques. That could be a pretty good investment. A good example of that would be the League investment unique Shadows and Dust, which was a League-only drop from Rampage. Those, during the Rampage League itself, they didn't really sell for very much, as I recall. But now on Standard, they're going for a couple X. So that could be a way, if you have any interest in carrying or making some currency in Standard off of this league, you could invest in that. It's just something to think about. So the patch hit and rare and super rare uniques were indeed quadrupled. Has it affected the price of said uniques? I mean, that's a good question. And I'm going to say I think it has a little bit. Not as much as some people were screaming about. But I think that it's definitely affected the price of the rare uniques. And I think they have fallen more than the super rare uniques have fallen. I mean, let's face it, guys. A Shavs is a Shavs. You know, a Mjolnir is a Mjolnir. They're going to carry value regardless of how, you know, the drop rate being changed. You know, I talked about how 4 times a very small number is still a very small number, and that's still true. So yeah, it has dropped the price a little bit, but it's not been substantial. Where I've really seen the biggest change has been with things like Rat's Nest. You know, middle of the league. Of course, we have lost. The league has lost some players too, which is affecting prices. But around middle of the league, Rat's Nest was going for 5x, 6x, and I'm seeing people selling Rat's Nest now for 2 to 3x. Malagaros is getting very low. Those are just 2 examples of things that I've seen. Wrathpith. I mean, granted, Wrathpith hasn't really been strong this league because of the meta, but it's definitely lost some value. Now, that's a T1 that's lost some value, and it's just because it's not in demand. So it's all about supply and demand. You know, the demand. If the demand, you know, falls short of the supply, the price is going to go down. So Wrathpith being a T1 unique that's not seeing a lot of play now. Before you jump up my ass on this one, that doesn't mean that people aren't using Wrathpith this league. They are. There are some builds that run Wrathpith. It's just not a lot of builds are running Wrathpith this league. So, anyways, another thing that you could profit from coming close in the league is there are going to be people who are going to try and complete as many challenges as they can, just like myself, before the league draws to a close. So anything that you have that is tied to a challenge, such as divination cards that people have to turn in for challenges, or warbands uniques that people need to identify, you could potentially get a premium price for those in the coming weeks. I have been paying very, very close attention to the divination card market for some cards over the past few weeks, and I've got a trade here. So I'm going to do this while I talk. And I wish I could click on it. So I've been paying a lot of attention to it. I only need 3 more sets before I complete mine. And Hypnotic Skewer. 4 fusings. Anyways, so where is it? I'm sorry, guys. Oh, there it is. Tri-res. Okay, so I've been paying a lot of attention to some of the cards, watching the prices, and I just see some potential there on some of the more rare divination cards that you could make some money on if you find them, or if you see them cheap, you could snap them up and relist them. That is a little bit scummy, but you know, I mean, it is an opportunity for profit. So I am going to, you know, report it to you. I mean, if we just look here at some of these sets, what are some of the ones that I think could be ones where you could make some more money? Well, first of all, let's just dispel the notion about some of these ones that are super expensive already. That's not where you're going to be making your money. You're going to be making your money off of the middle tier ones, off of the middle tier, where people actually think they have a chance of completing the sets. Because the high tier ones, since you don't have to gather all of those, people are just not looking for those unless they specifically want the item. So, I mean, and I say this from experience. I did not... When I started the Divination Card Challenge, I looked through the list and I said, okay, which ones are prohibitively expensive? Those are the ones that I'm not going to do. And basically, I was able to, you know, get rid of some of the more expensive ones and get it down to what I felt were 32 sets that were either very affordable or not as painful as the others. Like, let's take a look through here. Okay, so you can see the ones that I haven't done. Abandoned Wealth, Coveted Possession, Hope, the Avenger. Okay, Brittle Emperor. This is a very good example of a set there. I wouldn't advise like buying this and trying to flip it. If you get it, yeah, sure, sell it. But don't try to flip this, because I don't think this is going to go up a lot in value, because people aren't chasing this for the challenge. People are chasing this for Evol's Devotion. Celestial Justicar actually has went down a little bit in price. The Doctor, same thing. Too expensive, guys. It's too expensive. Don't try to flip this. Don't try to flip Dark Mage. Time Lost Relic, same thing. You know, the Wind, the Watcher, Road to Power. It's because of the... I think with Road to Power, it's because of where it drops at. It's just people want to overprice these so much. King's Heart is a Calm's Heart. Same thing. The Hunger. The price on the Hunger has went down a little bit, so you could potentially try to flip that. But what I'm talking about when I say like flipping would be things like... you could make a little bit of money on probably the Feast. Vinia's Token would be good. The Union. The Pact, maybe. The Inventor. Although people are already pricing the Inventor pretty highly because of the fact that it gives Veil Orbs. The Incantation, because people are chasing this because they also want that Whispering Ice. Potentially the Hoarder, the Gladiator, yeah, things like that. So basically, like those middle of the road ones, the ones that aren't rare but aren't common, that what you could do is you could either just kind of like watch on PoE.trade and see what people list for, or you could just hop into trade chat, set an arbitrary price for yourself. Now, don't set it too low. I mean, really, don't screw people. I mean, but set a decent price where you think you can make some money, and then do it. That's a way that you could make a little bit of extra cash. So, yeah. So that pretty much concludes all the notes I have. So now let's just talk a little bit about exchange rate. So as I mentioned, the Exalt bubble has went pop. So for some of these, I've actually listed exalt trading prices and also chaos trading prices. So I'm just going to run through these really quickly. Some of them haven't really changed. Some of them are very, very static, such as scrolls, transmutes, augmentations, whetstones, armors. They're all very, very static at their prices. Scrolls 160 for 1 C, transmutes 40 for 1, augmentations 64 for 1, whetstones 20 for 1, armors 40 for 1. If you're a seller or you're a buyer, those are probably going to be your rate. Baubles, I have still seen a few people selling at 4 for 1 C. I wouldn't trade them. If I was you, I wouldn't trade them. I wouldn't buy them. I wouldn't trade them. Instead, you need to get yourself a loot filter if you don't have one, and you need to set it to highlight any flasks that have quality on them. And you need to pick all those flasks up, set aside a stash tab, and when you fill up that stash tab, sell them. And you'll have plenty of baubles for your own personal use. Chromes, 18 for 1. I see people sometimes buying and selling at 20 for 1 still. Alts, 800 per X, so the prices kind of went down a little bit there. It was trading at over 900. It's over 9,000. Alts also for chaos, 14 to 1 is a pretty standard rate. You could probably, during peak hours, you might even be able to get it a little bit better. If you're selling, you could maybe even get like 13 to 1 or 12 to 1. Jewelers, 440 for 1X, and 7 for 1C. Chance, 300 per X. That's a bit of a shot in the dark on the chance. I haven't really seen a whole lot of people selling chance for X. A lot of your flippers are pulling out of the X market, and instead they're shifting over to chaos now. So chance orbs, I would say for chaos, I probably wouldn't sell at less than 7 to 1. 7 to 1, maybe even 6 to 1. Chisels, about 150 per X. That price has been a little bit stable. Fuses, they're kind of all over the place right now. It's a little bit nasty. It's going to be somewhere between 100 to 120 per X. Yeah. So, and probably going to be closer to 100 rather than 120. And I anticipate that probably that rate's going to continue to fall slowly down. Also, fuse 1.5 for 1C. 2 for 1 is almost impossible to find, but it is out there if you just sit and trade chat. But if you're wanting a quick trade for some chaos, or going from chaos to fuse, you're going to have to offer a little bit of a premium. Alks, 150 per X, probably like 2.5 Alks for 1 chaos. Scour, 90 per X, although if you're sitting on 90 scours, I would not sell them. Instead, what I would do at this point in the league is I would convert them at the vendor into regret, 2 scours. You can buy regrets from Clarissa in Act 3 for 2 scours. And what that's going to do is you're going to convert all those scours over to regrets. And then in standard league, regret trades at 2 chaos for 1 regret. So, whereas in warbands right now, it's like 1 for 1. Blessed orbs don't really see a whole lot of trade. I would just say 1 for 1 fuse. Veil orbs, 30 to 35 per X, 1.5 C for 1. So, yeah. Regrets are kind of almost even with veil orbs in terms of value. You might get a few more regrets per X than you would veil orbs, just because I don't know, veil, a lot more people are using veil than regret. And regal, my note here just says don't trade in this. Basically, regals have been really strange this league, and so it's been really, really. I wouldn't do anything with them. I would just keep them, use them for your own benefit, and if you buy them, you can get them pretty cheap. Like if you buy regal, you can probably get regal at, something like 7 regal for 10 chaos. Always be trading, guys. Always be trading. That is my number 1 rule. Always be trading. Which one do they want? Anyways, yeah, fucking, pardon my language. Camaria's Mall. Dude, I have dropped and chanced 7 of those this league. 7. 7. Anyways, moving on. Exalt 60 to 65. See, that price is going to continue to come down. Going to continue to come down. So if I was you, I would move out of Exalt. GCP 30 per X. I would say GCP. You're already invited. Just go to their hideout. This person's a little bit. You're already in my party. Coastal hideout. What in the world? It's kind of strange. Lush hideout. Oh, now he's at my hideout. This is the perils of trading. GCP is going to be something that, if my memory serves me correctly, trades a little bit stronger on standard than it does in a temporary league. So, might be a place if you're wanting to bring some profit into standard, you could make some profit there. Divines 4 per X and mirrors, who knows? They don't really get sold a whole lot. So, and I'm anticipating that nobody who's watching this video has anything to do with mirrors. So, and if you do, please correct me in the comments. I do apologize. Anyways, so that's what I'm thinking in terms of the Warbands League for this week. Going forward, we know we've got 12 new divination cards that are going to be coming in pretty soon. They look pretty cool. Loyalty card hype. And yeah, so leagues are drawing to an end. Get your challenges done, folks, because it's almost over. Then we'll have that nice temporary league, and then we'll get a whole fresh new economy again. So thank you for joining me, and until next time, game on.